back, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hope you're doing all right for this reading lesson 15. 15. Can you believe we've done that many? We're nearing the end of the book now. But it's not all over for Mr. Fox, okay? Because coming up, some quite tense moments. That's all I'll say. Now, if you remember, they were digging underground, and they went to Boggus's farm, they went to Bunce's farm, and now they're outside Bean's farm. Although it wasn't wooden floorboards under the ground, it was stone walls. Someone had built a room under the ground. Bean had built a room, actually. Did you have a think last time what it could be? Who builds a room under the ground? Well, we're about to find out. Mr. Fox examined the wall carefully. He saw that the cement between the bricks was old and crumbly, so he loosened the brick without much trouble and pulled it away. Suddenly, out from the hole where the brick had been, there popped a small sharp face with whiskers. "Go away!" it snapped. "You can't come in here. It's private." "Good Lord!" said Badger. "It's Rat!" "You saucy beast," said Mr. Fox. "I should have guessed we'd find you down here somewhere." "Go away!" shrieked Rat. "Go on, beat it! This is my private patch." "Shut up," said Mr. Fox. "I will not shut up!" shrieked Rat. "This is my place. I got here first." Mr. Fox gave a brilliant smile, flashing his white teeth. "My dear Rat," he said softly, "I am a hungry fellow, and if you don't hop it quickly, I shall eat you up in one gulp." That did it. Rat popped back fast out of sight. Mr. Fox laughed and began pulling more bricks out of the wall. Not very nice from Mr. Fox, was it? When he'd made a biggish hole, he crept through it. Badger and the smallest fox followed him in. They found themselves inside a vast, damp, gloomy cellar. Oh, that's good descriptive words, isn't it? Vast means big. Damp, wet, gloomy. Gloomy, I think, is almost like what we call an onomatopoeic word. It's a big word, isn't it? It kind of sounds a little bit like it is. Gloomy means it's dark and dingy and not very nice to look at. Vast, damp, gloomy cellar. "This is it!" cried Mr. Fox. "This is what?" said Badger. "The place is empty." "Where are the turkeys?" asked the smallest fox, staring into the gloom. "I thought Bean was a turkey man." "Oh, he is a turkey man," said Mr. Fox, "but we're not after turkeys now. We've got plenty of food." "Then what do we need, Dad?" "Take a good look round," said Mr. Fox. "Don't you see anything that interests you?" Badger and the smallest fox peered into the half-darkness. As their eyes became accustomed to the gloom, they began to see what looked like a whole lot of big glass jars standing upon shelves around the walls. They went closer. They were jars. There were hundreds of them, and upon each one was written the word cider. The smallest fox leapt high in the air. "Oh, Dad!" he cried. "Look what we found! It's cider!" "Exactly," said Mr. Fox. "Oh, tremendous!" shouted Badger. "Bean's secret cider cellar," said Mr. Fox. "But go carefully, my dears. Don't make a noise. This cellar is right underneath the farmhouse itself." "Cider," said Badger, "is especially good for badgers. We take it as medicine. 1 glass 3 times a day with meals, and another at bedtime." "It will make the feast into a banquet," said Mr. Fox. While they were talking, the smallest fox had sneaked a jar off the shelf and had taken a gulp. "Wow!" he gasped. "Wowee!" You must understand, this was not the ordinary weak fizzy cider one buys in a store. It was the real stuff. A home-brewed fiery liquor that burned in your throat and boiled in your stomach. That's great language again from Roald Dahl, isn't it? It burned in your throat and boiled in your stomach. Bit of hyperbole, I think, because it can't actually do that, can it? Can't actually burn your throat. Gasped the smallest fox. This is some cider. That's quite enough of that, said Mr. Fox, grabbing the jar and putting it to his own lips. He took a tremendous gulp. Oh, it's miraculous, he whispered, fighting for breath. It's fabulous. It's beautiful. It's my turn, said Badger, taking the jar and tilting his head well back. The cider gurgled and bubbled down his throat. It's like melted gold, he gasped. Oh, Foxy, it's like drinking sunbeams and rainbows. It's lovely imagery there, isn't it, again? You're poaching, shrieked Rat. Put that down at once. There'll be none left for me. Rat was perched upon the high shelf in the cellar, peering out from behind a huge jar. There was a small rubber tube inserted in the neck of the jar, and Rat was using this tube to suck out the cider. You're drunk, said Mr. Fox. Mind your own business, shrieked Rat. And if you great clumsy brutes come messing about in here, well, we'll all be caught. Get out and leave me to sip my cider in peace. At that moment, they heard a woman's voice calling out in the house above them. Hurry up and get that cider, Mabel, the voice called. You know Mr. Bean doesn't like to be kept waiting, especially when he's been out all night in a tent. The animals froze. They stayed absolutely still, their ears pricked, their bodies tense. Then they heard the sound of a door being opened. The door was at the top of a flight of stone steps leading down from the house to the cellar. Oh dear, that's the end of chapter 15. So they found cider. They got a little bit carried away. I think so. Rat's been in there quite a while, hasn't he, too? But now there's somebody coming down to get cider for Farmer Bean. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Have to wait and see. Well, I think, though, for a task today, it's a good point to look at something that I know my class love. They just love doing them. Comic strips. Who doesn't love a comic strip here? This is from one of my favourites. This is from Calvin and Hobbes. I loved Calvin and Hobbes when I was growing up. I still have quite a few of the books in the house as well, and I look at them now and again. They're still great. Yeah, have a look at this comic strip. Can you identify the main features of the comic strip? Pause the video. What can you see? When we're looking at a comic strip like this, what do you notice? What are the main features, the main things that stand out to you? Pause the video, have a look. You definitely done it. Do you see how I do this now? I talk for ages, to make sure you got time to pause the video, and you're definitely doing it. Right, okay. For me, I think there's 4 features. You might have more. Okay, here we go. What can I see? Boxes. There's boxes in a comic strip to insert illustrations. Illustrations go inside these boxes. Yeah, it kind of tells the story bit by bit, doesn't it? Illustrations are drawings, of course. Now, there's also something in this particular comic strip. I picked it for a reason. It's called onomatopoeia. Can you say it? Onomatopoeia. Yeah, onomatopoeia are words that sound like they're spelled. So, whack sounds like you're whacking something. Can you think of any other ones? Any other onomatopoeia words? Splash. I like that one. That sounds like a splash. Boom. Boom sounds like boom as well. So they're words that are spelt the way that they sound. Now there's one other key feature. Every comic strip has it at some point. Speech bubbles to show what people are saying in the comic strip. So there we go. We've got boxes, illustrations, onomatopoeia, and speech bubbles. Also want to have a little look carefully at Calvin's face. Look at his face. Do you see how it changes expression? In the second box, looks like he's hitting the ball really hard. The third box, a bit optimistic maybe. We can't actually see his mouth, can we? Can't tell his expression. And then in the fourth final box, we can see he's dead happy with himself with his big smile. So, today, what are we actually doing? Well, our learning intention is to summarize the chapter. learning to summarize. We've done some summarizing previously. I keep coming back to it because it's really, really important. However, we're going to do it in a different way this time because your task is, using a comic strip, summarize the main events in chapter 15. So you can pause the video, like scroll back, pause the video, read it again, listen to me reading it again. Maybe you can take some notes to get the main points. Now, success criteria wise, I'm challenging you. Can you do it in just 6 boxes? Only 6. So you might want to kind of bullet point 6 main points in that chapter. Put them into the boxes. Obviously, we need illustrations that show expression on Mr. Fox, Badger and Rat's face. Is Rat happy? So how would his eyes be looking? How would his mouth be looking? How was the little fox when he had a glug of the cider? And what about when they heard the noise from coming from upstairs, the women coming down? What would their faces be looking like? I don't know. You think. Okay. I would love it if you could get in at least one bit of onomatopoeia. Might be glug, bang, whack, splash, I don't know, whatever it might be. You can think it up. And speech bubbles, of course, to help us tell the story. Because illustrations are useful. Sometimes you can piece together things, but we do need some speech bubbles to let us know what the characters are saying and how the story is progressing. So, that's your task. Summarize the chapter in a comic strip. Use those 4 pieces of success criteria. Can't wait to see what you come up with. See you again for chapter 16.